you don't have to like wait till the end for questions, but I would prefer if you ask me big questions at the end, and like any doubts on screen you can just always text it on the chat box. Is that cool? Okay. So then just a disclaimer, I know it's pretty obvious, but just in case, this is not at all associated with Emirates in any way. This is just my experience in Emirates. Okay. So what is data science? Okay. So what is data, first of all? I think I did explain to a junior once, what is data? Data could be anything. Now, we are not really interested in data. We're interested in information. Now, what is information? When you process data into something meaningful, it is called information, right? So data science, you could take it off taking insights from messy data that you can get from like sensor or people's surveys. It could be images, videos, random thing. And data science is the science of taking that data, converting into useful information. If you're not getting useful information about data science, you're just using some Python code, something, it is not data science. You gotta get something useful out of it, right? Now, just an overview. This is not related to the talk, but I just thought it'll be beneficial for you guys. So these are the hottest topics right now. Everybody talks about data science. I want to become a data analyst, business analyst, AI, machine learning, deep learning. What is all this, right? So I'm not going to go into the details of this because you're going to have the recording and you can just always look at this image. So the idea of this is basically like you have a field called artificial intelligence, which is a field of computer science. Okay. And within it, you have a subset called machine learning, and within it, you have something called deep learning. Deep learning basically focuses on something that are very complicated, like videos, images. Machine learning just usually refers to applying some, regression model, some classification model, usually with numerical data. And artificial intelligence is just a general scope of this entire field. Okay. Now, what is data science? As I said, it's basically, you take data, process it to get some useful information. Now, a subset of that is data analytics, where you don't focus on how you get this information. Your job is just analyze this information. Okay. So now I'll give you an example. This is just something I watched on a YouTube video. Maybe I could add the references to these in the GDSC app, but for now I'll just show you guys. This also I refer to a nice video and he explained very well. So basically, if you took anything related to data, this entire field, you can look at software engineering, the applications you use, like for example, when we guys check how many people are registered for GDSC, we're using an application which is Google Form. So we're getting using Google Form as the entry point of this data. You guys enter your email ID or whatever. So there's a software engineer who made this Google Form app. The next level of this is data engineering. Now data engineering is where you take this data from the application and ensure it is stored nicely in a database or in a file. Doesn't matter. It should be something that is feasible and easy to understand and use in the future stages. Okay. Then the next stage we have something called data analysis, data mining. Basically, you take this data, get insights from them. Okay. Then you got this ML engineer, research scientist, which apply some complex modeling, for forecasting or some clustering, regression, all this. Okay. And if you want to know a general idea of deep learning, which I had mentioned, one of our council members, Kayan Irani, had conducted a workshop on TensorFlow. Okay, feel free to go to the app and check it out. He gave a very nice explanation of how and why all this is required. Okay, so general idea when people are talking about data science, they're usually referring to this part. Okay, yes. Now the next question is how did I get in? Right, that's a very good question. And first I'd like to say that's because I'm amazing. But seriously though, the thing that I think that helped me get in is because you should always be looking for exploring and learning all the time, right? Always be curious. If something that happens that you are not sure about, just look it up on the internet. It's going to take you like 10 seconds to just learn about it. If you keep learning small things like this, at the end you have a large domain of knowledge. This is the main thing. Projects, right? It doesn't matter how much you know, it doesn't matter what you know if you can't apply it. Correct? So only if you do projects, you will understand where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. Side projects are basically like mock papers for exams. When you do exams, what do people, seniors recommend? Do exam paper, past exam paper. Why? Because you identify what your weaknesses are and what you know better. Okay, so when you do a project, okay, when you do a real life project and you try to implement your code, you'll do like 3 mistakes. Then you'll be like, okay, fine, I didn't really understand this. You'll go to a YouTube video, you watch it, and then you come back. So, and another thing is, employers mainly look at projects, because what are you going to do when you go to the company? You're going to do projects. Okay, so CGPA. This is a bit controversial. I know it's very tempting to be like, oh, I want a very high CGPA, or you're just being carefree. It should be a compromise. It should be a balance. You shouldn't go for CGPA at the compromise of your health, or at the expense of your health, right? Obviously, health is your first priority. Just try to get the highest CGPA you can. This is completely random. I just always share this to all my friends. One of my English teachers in, I think, 9th or 10th grade, he told me, he just told the class actually, never have regrets. That's the only thing that's the number one rule I follow in my life. If you feel like you're gonna regret that you didn't work harder for getting a higher CGPA, then you should probably study more. But then again, if you feel like, oh no, if I study and I overwhelm myself, I'm gonna ruin my health, then don't do it, because your health is the thing that matters the most, right? Regarding CGPA, companies obviously look at CGPA, but not the main thing. The reason why they look at CGPA is because if you have a good CGPA, it's very likely you have dedicatedly attended your class. That's a very good filter for them. Instead of going through 100 applications, right, you could, write random projects that you didn't even do. You just copy paste something from the internet. But the CGPA shows something that, you attended classes, you worked hard, and you got a nice CGPA. But then again, CGPA is not the only thing that matters. As I said, the number one thing is projects. Okay? And obviously work hard. I don't really know what more I can say about this. If you have a lot of knowledge and you have done projects, but you stop working hard, there goes everything. All the work you have done so far goes away, because unless you work hard and be curious, as I mentioned, you won't really progress. Okay. Just confirming, Riddhi, is everything going fine? You guys can hear me, right? I didn't even get a single question so far.
No, everything's fine.
Okay, cool. No issues. Regarding my experience, okay. So the thing is, I worked in revenue optimization department as an operations research team member. Okay. So my role was help other analysts. Basically, I did the data engineering part of data science, right? So in data engineering, my work, me and my teammates work. Just a minute. The prayer call is going on. Can we just wait a minute? Okay, so I'm back. Sorry for that. Just a prayer call is going on. I thought we wait for a minute. So the thing is, I worked in revenue optimization department in the operations research team, and basically I did the data engineering work where I had to, I'll show you the projects. That time we'll go through. Okay, so experience. First, I was having severe imposter syndrome, where I thought like, do I really make it here? Do I really deserve this? And then luckily I had a very supportive teammates called, they're comfortable. I think Ishan, Stuti, Anmol, Haneen, I think he also joined this call. Haneen, then there's, did I miss out on anything? Haneen just messaged who I missed out on. Right, so basically I had very good teammates, and then they would be like, nah, Tahir, it's okay, you got this, you deserved this. And and it took me some time to be like, okay, fine, I am good at this. Okay, luckily, alhamdulillah, everybody was very friendly. All my colleagues were very friendly, all the managers, everyone. And then I'm like, okay, fine, I have talent, I can do this. Then I got confident. And then let's go to the work part. How is my internship structured? So the first week I had to complete, so this was an 8-week internship, 2 months basically, PS1. The first week was basically like, I had to clear some compulsory courses, and without which I wouldn't get my internship certificate. So I had to complete like, I think 5 or 6 courses. Usually they were very small, but still I had to clear exams, online exams for them. They were very useful, gave me a lot of insight, and I learned a lot. And the second task was for 6 weeks, we had to do group assignments, me, Ishan and Stuti. And I will be talking about the group assignment shortly. And then the last thing was basically an individual project. Each of us got different individual project. So what tools and technologies did we use, my team? Just a minute. Yeah. The tools I used were basically Python, Plotly, Dash, and Snowflake SQL. So Python, I'm assuming all of you guys know. For those who do not know, Python is an open source general purpose programming language, right? Because it's open source, it has a large community, and it's very easy to collaborate with others. It constantly gets new packages, which lets you do a lot of complicated stuff with ease. Now, Plotly is a data visualization library which allows for interactive graphs. I can show you one of them actually. Then there's a Dash. Dash is a Python web app development tool. Okay, and there's Snowflake SQL is basically like Snowflake SQL is basically a cloud computing provider for running database queries. So it's basically like imagine you upload all your data on Google Sheets, right? And you can download it whenever you want. Snowflake SQL is kind of something like that. It's like you upload all your data there, and you can run queries on it, and you can extract data and then import it into your Python program or whatever. And regarding Plotly, just remind me, GDSC team, remind me at the end to show something with Plotly. I'll just show you guys an application. Okay, so the first project is basically like we had a bunch of schedules, right? And we had a bunch of like flights. This was my first group assignment basically. So we had like, okay, this flight is going from Chennai to, let's say, Dubai. Just to clarify, this was all completely anonymous data. We couldn't really see who booked or whatever. It was just completely masked data. The word is masked, right? So basically they'll give us flight saying that, this flight at this time went from this place to this place. We had to, me and Ishan and Stuti, we had to basically like join all the relevant flights. Basically, if there's a flight from Chennai to, let's say, US by Emirates, and then the flight would go from Chennai to Dubai to US. But then the schedules table will not have that. So we had to logically, merge them appropriately. So this is the output we had to make, and we had to just show like, okay, this flight, these are some connecting flights. And I think this question was basically we had to show the longest circuit that Emirates has. So the second question was basically we had to create an application where you can, interact with the database, get data from the database, and then understand, and the user can interact and then filter. So I think this was basically like we had to like find all the airports that Emirates has connections to in Australia, and we could do something like in class, like first class, like business class, and so on. We could filter locations on the map. The third one was basically, let me just think what it was. It's been a while. Third one was basically referring to my report. Third one, we had to create an app that would help analyze inventory metrics such as passengers, bookings, and capacity. So basically, we had to like filter a particular flight and analyze how many people came on the flight. We had some KPI. KPI means key performance indicators like PAX and RASK, seat factor, and how much revenue we got from this flight. So basically, this is just a flowchart, and we would draw interactive graphs like these. At the end, sure, we are recording. Cool. This was my individual project, which is very interesting. Basically, like I had to compare how my proposed model for a purpose, which I'll mention, was comparing to the tool that they are already using. Okay, so it was basically like I had to predict, given the data we have so far, a flight that is going to leave in 10 days, how many people will actually board the flight. Let's say a flight has a capacity of let's say 300 people. 300 people is the max, and 290 people booked so far, and there's 10 days remaining. So now the airlines has to decide, should they allow for more people to book, because there'll be cancellations. There are always going to be cancellations, but then always there's going to be last minute booking. So they have to find a compromise. How much should we allow people to book now? So my model is basically like I would collect data from the database, right, and use previous year's features, right, and then apply a model which I'll be mentioning called Facebook profit model, which is basically it's a time how do I explain it in a simple way? It's a time series model that uses it's a time series model that uses past data and deep learning to effectively predict the final values, right? And I think I accidentally forgot to include that here. At the end, I'll just show you guys my report during the Q&A session when I have time. So basically, I had to use two evaluation metrics called root mean squared error and mean absolute error, and I had to show how much deviation my model and their existing model are comparing to the true value. Okay. So at the end, I had to give some recommendations for them. I just wanted to help them because they taught me a lot. I felt like I learned a lot in Emirates. Some recommendations I gave was like how they can maybe improve their memory optimization of their applications, and then I proposed a library called Modin to improve the performance, a library called Data Shader to improve their plotting performance, Plotly resampler for the same, and I recommended ScatterGL. You can all refer to this. There's some cool tips, not very necessary. Then I recommended lazy loading. Basically, like instead of loading everything on screen when the application opens up, you load them selectively. And then I recommended a software called Logseek. I'll just type that in the chat box. Logseek, that's the application I use for my notes in general. It's very useful. It's an open source app. And then I recommended how they can improve their plotting somehow, hide unnecessary stuff and so on. But mainly the main highlight of the keystone of my internship, I would say, is the individual project, and I was very proud. The experience part. So the best part of the internship was the confidence I got, because the individual project, it was a 1 week task, as I had said. But then what happened was basically the 6th day, that means the day before presenting to the managers, I showed my direct manager and asked her, okay, is this correct? And she goes like, I'm sorry, this is not correct. I had to redo an entire week's worth of work in 24 hours. I don't know how I did it, right? And yeah, I mean, and my manager also said, usually you really got the good internship experience, because this is how work is. You'll just put something on you, and you'll have to somehow figure it out on your own, learn it in a few hours, and then implement it within a few days, and that's it. And yeah, so that was my best, I'd say, moment in Emirates. Regarding general internship tips, okay, so be curious. This is my number one rule for anything. Always be curious. Ask questions all the time, and note everything down. If your don't go extreme with this, but let's say your manager does something, and like, oh wait, why are they doing that? Be curious. Again, I'm gonna repeat. Let's say some event happens. Number one, be curious. Number two, ask your manager question and note it down. Just remember again, be curious, ask questions, and note everything down. This is gonna save you a lot of time in the future when you're like, oh wait, what was that one thing I learned over there? Always write everything down. I use digital notes using that software called Logseek, which I just mentioned in the chat box. I would highly recommend using that. But if you're just a normal plain paper person, just use that, whatever is comfortable for you. And let's say one of the biggest problems is, like, alhamdulillah, I didn't have to face this issue. But many people, they go to an internship and they get boring tasks, and then they just accept it. Don't accept it. Try to find something interesting. Ask your manager, could I do something? Don't be like, oh, the manager just gave me this, I'm just gonna continue with this. Ask them, can I contribute something more? My talents would be more useful in something else, right? And yeah, just to give a context of how confident I got because of Emirates and that 1 day work thing, when I had to repeat a week's work in 1 day. This is what happened right now. I just took this photo at 10:39, and I had not made the presentation slides for this. I was like, I'll be able to do it somehow. And yeah. So thank you, everyone. Now let's start the Q&A session. Guys, come on. At least one question you gotta ask for me, na?
It's a very general question, not related to Emirates, but whatever assignments that you're given, are the tools and technologies, fixed? Was Python asked, were you asked to use Python, or is it up to you to go on and build something?
Okay.
I'm assuming it's very subjective, company to company, but yeah, what was the case in Emirates?
Yeah, in Emirates, they didn't really force anything on us. But then they were just like, learn this. This will be useful for you guys. For the group assignments, they didn't really ask us to make the application. We made it ourselves because we were like, oh, we want to be interested. And they gave us this opportunity to learn. So basically, Dash is what they use for their applications. And regarding tools and technologies in general, most companies, from what I've observed, it's basically like they're still using Excel. But if you propose Python, they would accept it. But let's say a company that is using Python, they won't accept Excel, because companies are moving more towards programmatic approaches rather than, manual efforts in Excel. Does that answer your question, Hussam? Guys, come on. I spent so much time. If you can't even ask a few questions, I'm going to be very sad.
I think you explained it really well.
Don't tell me, man, like that. At least one question you will have, yeah? Okay, no issues. I think that's okay with everyone.
Tahir, your presentation was really good. It covered almost everything. But I just wanted to ask this question: if there is something you feel that you could have done before your internship. if there's something you could have learned, or is there any mistakes that you've done in the internship?
At the internship,
Yeah, you feel that you could have avoided it. I mean, had you known it before?
okay. Let me rephrase the question. I'm assuming you're trying to ask me what is the one thing or a few things that you wished you had known or done before your internship. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Very good question. See, when I asked for a question, I didn't think it would be this hard. Let me think. Probably some of the general tips that they gave. So my colleagues were very helpful, and they would just give like a few suggestions, like wear this kind of outfit. This will look nice on you. So probably the few things I would focus on before my internship is how well I dress up and go for work. Probably that. Then. One thing I wish I knew, I probably wish I had learned this Plotly and Dash earlier, because we were not aware of it. The way we learnt it is basically me, Ishan and Stuti would sit all in one table, and I really wanted to show the pictures, but I don't think I'm allowed to because of the privacy. Yeah, basically I had to, we three had to just sit on the same table, and then you would watch YouTube over there, and then be like, okay, there's some Indian guy telling something, add this button, add that button, and we're like, add it. And another thing was, I think, that's it. I don't think, this is a completely new experience for me. I did not know what to expect, so I wouldn't really say I wish I had done something before. I think it was a very good experience. Raj, you had some other question? Aryan, what was something you didn't like at Emirates, and how did you combat that? Honestly, I'm going to be serious, like, it was too good. I don't really think I had a single thing that I disliked over there. Nah, not a single thing.
Okay, maybe I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
How is the at work atmosphere there? Like you said that all the colleagues are very helpful and stuff, but is it like a very formal atmosphere? Like everyone just, what do you say? Like serious about the work, just A to B, that's it, or is it like a very what do you say?
Yeah, I get it. How is the work culture? There were people, socializing as well, something like that. Okay, so it was mainly formal, but it was like, but then again, right, at lunchtime, they would clear their tables and, eat pizza together, and it was very nice. I didn't really observe that because me, Ishan and Stuti, we would just go downstairs to the mall section. So if you go to Emirates metro station and you enter, you tag out of the metro station, you walk through the bridge. Basically, the lobby of the Emirates group headquarters will be there, and then we just went there to eat. Unfortunately, because of that, we didn't really get to have lunch with them. But yeah, people were very friendly and they would all socialize as well. It was not like, oh, they'll just come to work and then focus on that and just go away. It was not at all like that.
Alright.
Okay, one more question. Were
Yeah.
you assigned tasks on a daily basis, or was it like, okay, this is your weekly task? I mean, is it more of a daily basis thing, or no? Okay, this is the task for the week, and by the end of the week, you're supposed to get it done with. Or was it like smaller tasks, but on a day-to-day basis?
It was more of a project that they gave us. So basically they had given a list of so the group assignment is basically a learning experience for us. They didn't really expect something out of it. The individual project, they expected something out of us. So the individual project is a 1 week task where they said, this is a task we want you to do, and then finish it by the week. Then they wouldn't really come up and did you get it done? They just gave a task and trusted us. And me, Ishan and Stuti, we would be very enthusiastic and being curious. We would constantly go to our managers and ask, okay, how do we improve this? Is it better? And regarding the group projects, it was just a massive task, not a task list. Basically a large assignment. They had given us 3 big questions, and then it was up to us to figure it out. And obviously they didn't teach us because that was the whole exercise, so that we learn. And but then again, we would constantly go to them, ask them questions, go back, try it. If it didn't work, we go back to them again. They were very helpful. It was so surprising for me that mashallah, they were so nice. Yeah. And Sheikh, Hussam, if I not clear the question, you can just tell me. But Sheikh asked me, "Hi Tahir, I wanted to know how will I be assessed on our work in the PS by the college?" I mean, basically what we had to do was basically our faculty in charge asked us to make presentation of our work. Whatever I showed you is basically whatever is in the report. And because we're not allowed to share a lot of details, we just stuck to the general idea. So if you do a presentation like this would be enough for being assessed by the college for PS. Okay, we'll wait for 1 or 2 more minutes, and if anyone has... So I think that's the end of the talk. If anybody still has any questions, you may stay. Otherwise, you can just leave. Thank you so much for attending this. I know this was a very short notice. It's just that we felt like this knowledge would be useful for others. Oh yeah, wait. The Streamlit app. I mean the Dash Plotly thingy. Wait. Don't leave, guys. Something cool I want to show you. Let me show my desktop. Yes. So yeah, so this is the project I'm working on currently. Let me just hide the link because it's important. Yeah, so this is something I learned, not in Emirates. So the application we use in Emirates is basically called Dash Plotly. So Dash is the application we used for... Dash is the Python package we use for creating the applications over there. And Plotly is the visualization library. I prefer personally, over the past few months, I have preferred Streamlit because it saves a lot of time actually. In Dash, you need to explicitly specify a lot of things that, I want my header to be like this with this styling, etc. But Streamlit already has customized options, and because of that, it saves you a lot of time. But for performance wise, I'd prefer Dash because of that customization, you can tailor make your app with a lot of optimizations. And so just something like I got exposure to because of working in Emirates was basically so this is not related to the work I did in Emirates. This is something I'm working on right now for my group project in accounts. It's basically like this. So Plotly is used for this interactive graphs. This is very useful for analysts who actually know the business because they don't want to go through Excel and to try to find all this. If they already have an application like this, it saves them a lot of time. And another thing, a tip I just remembered randomly. You might be thinking, why do I have the graph and the table? What is the point of the table if the graph is already there? And one of the things my manager said was that some people prefer looking at tables. So if you just look at graphs, you lose that part of the audience, right? And it's not very, you can't really go and tell an analyst, you should be looking at a graph, you shouldn't be looking at table. I mean, it's their wish, right? You can't really force it upon them. So the idea of a data engineer is that you have to design applications in a way it's easier and tailor-made for analysts. You shouldn't be like, oh, graphs are better. It's up to them, right? That's just something. I think that's it, yeah, for today.
There's some few more questions.
Oh, shoot. Okay, sure. Cool. Okay.
You want me to read them out? Or?
Yeah, that'll be better. Just ask me.
Alright. The first one was, were there any paid interns over there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Alright. The next
Honestly, I'm gonna be very honest here. I feel like the experience was so good, alhamdulillah, I would have been willing to pay for it. That's how good it was. Yeah. Next one.
Alright. The next one is for people who did not land the internship, what can they do over the summer so that they have the same level of learning on their own?
This is a small site I use a lot. It's something called as YouTube, right? It's the thing where I learned the most. YouTube is what saved me. I know people will be like ChatGPT is really cool and all, but YouTube video, find a good YouTuber. Maybe I can really share some good YouTubers in the GDSE app. Maybe. What can they do over the summer? Again, enjoy your summer. But since I guess you guys are doing PS anyway, just spend 1 or 2 hours every day focusing on general concepts of data science. Just something that okay, let's say you're not interested in data science, just something in general. Try to focus 1 or 2 hours of your summer vacation every day. Just learn something of what, like 2-3 videos, write a code for it, implement a project, and then show your family. They'll be like, oh, it'll be like look nicer if you do like this. You get both satisfaction and you also learn a lot. Yeah. Next.
Alright, there's one more. How many hours of work did you put in apart from the usual work hours? That's the first part.
What does that mean? Like how much time was overtime?
Yeah, you can say that.
We didn't really have overtime actually. Again, so my attendance, basically I had to like sign in and sign out with my Emirates internship ID, and the attendance I believe was taken care of HR. So my managers weren't really involved in that. My managers just cared about, okay, did I learn? Did Tahir learn today? Did Tahir, Ishan and Stuti learn something today? Did they do their project? And that's it. So yeah, I did not have any overtime.
And what were the work hours like?
For me, it was 8 to 2:30.
Alright. And there's one thing, since you learned a lot of new technologies during the internship, was it more stressful than uni? Like,
Okay, it was stressful when I had to redo, I had to redo an entire week's work in one day. So that was very stressful because I'm like, all this 8 weeks of work. Now I'm going to present to these bunch of managers. If I don't show up and then show them a good result, they're going to be so disappointed in me. And that's all I could think of. And then like I kept working, and then my colleagues and my Ishan and Suti, they were like, Tahir, it's fine. We know you'll be able to do it somehow tomorrow. Just come home, eat some ice cream or something, and then tomorrow you'll be able to do it. And alhamdulillah, that's what happened. But then just to give a context of how close it was, right? I have the presentation in 5 minutes. Ishan and Suti already went to the presentation room. And I'm over here still editing my presentation and then still changing this. As Ishan and Suti are presenting, I'm still editing the presentation. That's how close. Literally, I finished my presentation probably 1 minute before I presented. That's how close it was. That was the only thing that was very stressful. Apart from that, no, it was not really very stressful because I loved what I was doing. I enjoyed what I was doing, and it was a very good experience. And alhamdulillah, I got to meet a lot of people, a lot of brilliant people. And yeah, so I wouldn't really say it was more stressful than uni. I don't really like uni because it's very stressful, a lot of projects coming up. Yeah.
alright, and one final recommendation would be that just upload some YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, sure. In the GDSE app, when along with the content for this or something, we can put some links.
Okay, I think Hussam has a question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, how many presentations did you have? Was it like on a weekly basis?
No.
Was it once?
No, we only had 2 major presentations. One was for the group assignment and one was for the individual assignment. And that's it.
Okay. Alright.
But then again, we had to regularly update. We didn't have to. We kept it ourselves. We took it up on ourselves to regularly update our managers, every 1 or 2 days.
Anyone
Yes,
have-
understand.
Let's wait
But
one
guys,
more minute.
thing,
Yeah,
some
sure.
people were individually asking for Tahir's tutorials and lectorials also, all the workshop resources and everything. It's available on the GDSE application. If you guys have not downloaded it, you can do it. I'll share the link in the description.
Yeah, cool. Oh, this is a random tip. I just remembered. So one of my managers, one of my colleagues, I was just asking, how do you design this application? I just thought it would be useful for everyone, right, to know this. So idea of this is when you're creating any graph. So people mostly, we read English, right? Most of us, and most of the languages, let's say, are left to right. Arabic is right to left, but most languages left to right. So if you are creating a dashboard in any left to right language, what you can do is, remember, your audience is used to reading left to right, top to bottom. So this means that people will look, if you can look, can you see my cursor, guys?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so most people, they'll be reading from top left to bottom right. So accordingly, you have to develop the graph. So as you can see, I have designed in the way that, okay, top left, you come, you see whatever is important. Okay, these are the lines in this graph. Then you look at this, look at this, look at this, and you come here at the bottom, because this is the most important, this is the least important. So let's say for this application I created, by default it has only the title. So notice how it's very minimal. Don't add a lot of too much stuff. Yeah, cool. No, I learned a lot of small things like these, and I would just write them down. It was very interesting for me. They were all very smart people, mashallah. And most of them, I only think met one computer science person there. Most of them are from a mathematics background or some economics background. Met a lot of different people. Yeah. What is this site name again? Site name again. Once I'm done with the accounts project, then I can share this maybe. But yeah, the software I use is called Streamlit. This is what I use to create this application. Okay, let's wait one more minute. If people have no questions, we can conclude. Okay, I think we can conclude now. So thank you everyone for attending this. I know this was a very short notice, but the fact that you guys still attended this means a lot to me. And obviously this recording will be shared, and I hope this helped a lot of you. Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.